Hey, Jared, Dr. Wendell here, and thanks for the question. It's a good question. Why do we care when the Gospels are written? Well, we care for one major reason, and that is the closer in time that the Gospels were written to the events that they report on, the more likelihood that they are an accurate reflection of the information. To make this point, let's talk a little bit about manuscripts. So, when scholars look at manuscripts that are found about the Bible, the earlier the better, right? There's kind of a bias that the earlier manuscripts are better representations, of the original. And the reason they come to that reasoning is quite simple, right? That is, the closer in time that the manuscript they have is to the original writing, then the less time that there was for corruption to take place within the manuscript, and therefore the more likely it is to be an accurate representation of the original. Or that's the assumption anyway. We can argue a whole different video about is earlier always better, and there are some people who question that assumption, but let's go with that for now. So let's take a look at a manuscript. Behind me you see P52. This is a manuscript from the Gospel of John, chapter 18. It has just a little bit of information in the Gospel of John, but in the world of scholarly research, this is considered like a holy grail. So this was published in 1935 by C.H. Roberts, who gave a probability of it being written somewhere between 100 and 150 A.D., which means it would be the earliest extant manuscript that we have of the New Testament, or, well, according to a lot of scholars anyway. However, like everything in the scholarly world, this date didn't last long before it was contested. Unfortunately, it's only occasionally that you come across a manuscript that actually has a date on it, or has some type of information that makes it easily identifiable to when it was written, though that does occasionally happen. So the ones that have confident dating are called securely dated manuscripts. But when it comes to the New Testament, honestly, they go with the method that's called paleographic. What is that, you say? Well, it's simply looking at the writing, the handwriting in particular, that's on a manuscript, and using it to determine a date. In Latin, Coptic, Greek, etc., there were different time periods that had different types of writing style. And as time elapsed, the handwriting styles changed. And so what you can do is, if you have a securely dated manuscript, you can compare one that you don't have a secure date for against others that do, and if you see the similarity between that handwriting style, then it's a clue that it's probably from that time period. And then you can use the securely dated manuscript to give a date time frame for the manuscript you're researching. This is exactly how P52 was dated, based upon the handwriting style. And so let's say the range of 100 to 150, we accept that. Let's just assume that. Now, I know that's contested. If another critical scholar stumbles across this video, they will flag that, but it is contested. But the date of 1 to 150, as originally proposed, that would give good evidence that the Gospel of John itself, the original, was written in the 1st century. And the copy we have here in the early 2nd century would be evidence to that fact. Now, does it prove it? Definitely no, but it's good evidence that it was. And one final note on this. Anytime you see a date range, let's say 100 to 200 AD, 100 to 200 means any of those dates are just as likely as any other. It doesn't necessarily mean that the writing is closer to 200 or closer to 100, but rather somewhere within that time frame, that's when that manuscript was produced. I hope this helps, and I hope it helps you understand that it's important to know when the gospel was written and how manuscripts can help us get some information and some evidence to as when they were written. God bless. One final note, because you guys want receipts. My information for this video came from the Center for the Study of New Testament Manuscripts and from the book Myths and Mistakes in New Testament Textual Criticism by Elijah Hickson and Peter J. Gurry.